Hi, it's Tomi, aka Nana, coming at you from beautiful Cape Cod. Here in my kitchen today, I am a bright lifer, a bright line eater. The bright lines are no sugar, no flour. I weigh and measure my food, and I eat only 3 meals a day, no snacking. I'm also doing the autoimmune protocol because I have Hashimoto's autoimmune disease. So I am doing 2 eating plans at the same time right now, and so far it's going well. A little bit more about me. I am a 63-year-old Nana, mother, wife. I am living in my bright-sized body. After over 500 days, I reached my goal weight range, and I had released 114 pounds. I went from 249 to 135, and I am now, as they say, happy, thin, and free, wearing a size 4 to 8, mostly a 6, but I fit into 4s and I fit into 8 sometimes. And as I said, I'm not affiliated with Brightline Eating, but I'm making these videos to just show people my journey and what I am doing to support my program that is working. And I am not perfect, have not been perfect, although I have been bright and decided almost a year ago that it was easier to be 100% than it was to be 99%. 100% is easy, 99% is really hard. So I am doing my best, and I'm trying to share some ideas to help other people along their way. So since I'm doing this autoimmune protocol, because I have Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune disease, and a thyroid disorder, I was having, even after losing 114 pounds, still achiness and stiffness and lack of mobility. So I wanted to improve that, and so doing this autoimmune protocol where I take out any of the things that might be inflammatory for a period of 30 days to 6 weeks, and then slowly introduce things back in to determine if there are things in particular that are causing me inflammation, and then I can decide to take those out of my diet, which when I started the autoimmune protocol, within a week or 2, I was feeling so much better. So I definitely, if I had to eat this way the rest of my life to feel this much better, I probably would try to. I'd like to reintroduce some foods. There are things that I absolutely miss, but I figure anything is worth feeling better. So what I'm going to share with you today is a recipe that is both Brightline Eating and AIP Autoimmune Protocol compliant, and that is I'm going to make some pork breakfast sausage, an autoimmune paleo breakfast sausage. So I will try to put the recipe in the link, but I am starting out with 2 pounds of humanely raised, no antibiotics, as organic as you can find, ground pork. And to this, I'm going to add, I happen to have sage that grows in my garden, so I'm going to put some sage, and I'm going to put some rosemary, and I am going to, the recipe will be for, here, let me show you what I'm doing. The recipe is going to be for 1 pound, but I am making 2 pounds in our time together today. So I'm just going to basically chop this Sage, obviously you can use dried sage. I just happen to have sage that grows in my garden, was here when I moved in, and I love the smell of it. And you know, why use dried if I've got fresh? So this recipe also calls for rosemary. So I have fresh rosemary, and I will be putting that in as well. And one of the things we don't eat on Autoimmune Protocol is pepper. And that has to be one of the things that I miss the most because it seems like a lot of the things that I liked and enjoyed had pepper in them. So I am about a week from trying to do some reintroductions. And I think pepper will be among some of the first things because there are teas that I enjoyed with pepper in it. There are definitely, you know, I could buy sausage already made because there isn't a commercial sausage made that doesn't have pepper in it that I have been able to find anywhere near me. So, and then I will take this rosemary and chop up the rosemary. Again, sorry, this is probably boring, but again, fresh rosemary, wonderful. I'm going to give you the recipe. I'm going to put a little bit more of some of these spices in because mine are fresh, and if you're using dried, it's a little more concentrated in some ways. So, you know, like the recipe calls for a teaspoon per pound, and I'm going to be putting in definitely more than that. Although when it's fresh, in some ways it's stronger. I don't know. It's more concentrated when it's dried, but I think that this flavor is stronger when it's fresh. So I'm going to put in the rest of this rosemary just because I can. And okay, so it doesn't have pepper in it, but it does have ginger, cinnamon, salt. One of the things when we're doing Bright Line Eating, we don't have to worry about, I know it's been in the news even lately, you know, people should be eating less salt, and it's basically trying to tell commercial food preparations, packaged food people that they need to be putting less salt into their foods, into the foods that they make, which I think is true. But because we don't eat prepackaged foods on Bright Line Eating, we need to use the salt shaker for sure. So I'm just going to put, this is pink Himalayan salt. I happen to really love the flavor. My husband thinks it's ridiculous that I get pink salt, but I think there's a little more iron in the salt, and it has a great flavor. So I happen to like it. So I am going to put some garlic powder. I was afraid this was going to happen. I buy my spices at Atlantic Spice Company here in Truro on Cape Cod, and I buy like garlic by the pound. So my container was almost out. I will not fill it in front of you all, but I'm going to take from the bag to add to it. And then here I have the ginger, and this calls for just a 1/4 teaspoon. So since I'm doubling it, this is a 1/2 teaspoon. And I'm going to put a little bit more because I love the, you know, I think I really want it to be spicy this time. So I'm adding some more. And then cinnamon, it calls for the same amount. And again, I'm going to add a little bit more than it calls for, because it'll just give it that warm. Days are getting a little bit cooler. And then a teaspoon of onion powder. There we go. So let me just double check. So I put sage in there, I put rosemary, I put cinnamon, and I put ginger, and I put salt. So now I find the best way to do this is to do it by hand, to mix it by hand. I have an infection on my finger, and so I am going to do it by hand, but I am going to use a glove so that I don't get this all on my finger. And I am just gonna fold all these herbs and spices into this. And as you can see, the hardest part is, the most time-consuming part of doing this recipe is, I've got some clumps of spices there, is the next phase, which will be, I want to spend at least a minute mixing this up to make sure I get all the spices well dispersed. Is, you have to spend the time to, I love to have my husband home when I do this, because I got to make it into patties, and I try to weigh them out and measure them. So that, and then what I do is I do cook it all, and then, kind of don't cook it all the way. And then, I put it in, once it's cooled, in plastic bags in the freezer or the refrigerator, for eating. Since I'm only doing 2 pounds, that will barely get me through the week, because there's not a lot of things that I can eat. There's on the autoimmune protocol, there's no dairy, no grains. So my grain for bright line eating is a sweet potato, and my choices for other protein items are leftovers or sausage, smoked salmon, as long as it has no sugar, no pepper, and then I make the coconut yogurt, which you should be able to find a video for in previous video, or after. Anyway, I'm putting together a video of my making coconut AIP BLE compliant coconut yogurt. So here we go. This is it. And then I am going to take this glove off and dispose of it, and get a piece of parchment paper. Just the parchment paper. You can also freeze them, freeze the sausages that you make raw, but because the because the meat was frozen, I'm going to cook it before I freeze them. Okay, so there we go. And I will just start. I'm going to weigh to get an idea that they're the right size. If I want them to be about 1 ounce, I need them to weigh about 1.4 ounces to cook down to about 1 ounce. So, and then I'm just going to make patties. So you can make them any shape you want to, but I'm just going to make patties. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. When I get my husband's help, they aren't perfect as nicely shaped as I like them to be. This is the process. And then I put them in an oven for about, how long? I think they go in for about 10 minutes. So, and in a high oven, like 450 degrees, I think, 425, 400. And again, I will put it in the recipe. And then they, cook not all the way. I mean, they're really totally cooked, but then you can warm them up in a frying pan or in the microwave and have them readily available for you for breakfast. So, shows you how easy it is to make these. I got something else on the stove, but anyway, I will show you some pictures of them when they're finished, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and if there's anything you'd like me to make a video about, please write that in the comments. And I thank you for spending your time with me, and I wish you a bright day.